What up, Razzballers? Welcome back to another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. We got a Dynasty mock tonight. Very excited to break down our first mock draft Monday. We're kicking off here in the 3 spot of a startup Dynasty mock draft. Join us right now on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. What up, everybody? Good evening. Happy Monday. It is Mock Draft Monday here on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. I'm your host, Sky Guasco. You can find me on X at Sky Guasco. You can, of course, find my man Jefferson at Jefferson __. That's 2 for those keeping score at home. Jefferson __ 21. Jeff, good evening, my man. Very excited for our first Mock Draft Monday. We're going to break down exactly how we're using this. And folks, we're doing this every single Monday until the kickoff of the football season. It is July 1st. We're kicking off our first Mock Draft Monday. Very excited about that. Jeff, before I get into our platform that we're using tonight and kind of how we're breaking this down, I'm curious. You're our Dynasty guru here at Razzball. You've been going nuts on startups and mock drafts. Who's one player in particular that you just cannot leave a draft without right now?
Right now, one guy, a lot of my mocks, this is going to sound crazy to some, but Sam Laporta. I just love having a dominant tight end, setting yourself up in a dynasty format. You don't have to worry about it. Set and forget for 3 years. And we're at an interesting transition time with tight ends, and I think he's going to be tight end 1 for the next 5 years.
I love it. Nice. You start that. You get that stability. If he turns out to be Travis Kelce, you're pretty dialed for the next 10 to 15 years, and that's a really great onesie position opportunity there. We're going to blast through a mock draft tonight. We're going to do mock drafts again every single Monday. So we're going to have all different types of formats. So if we're not doing a format that you're accustomed to, or you're a redraft guy, or you don't play Superflex, or you love tight end premium, or whatever, we're going to get to your format eventually. We're going to draft out of all the different slots. But tonight, we're doing a Dynasty startup super flex league with all players, not just we're doing all players. And for sake of time on the episode to get us in and get us out, we're not doing much of a bench on purpose. So we're not going to be drafting wide receiver 7s in Dynasty and that kind of stuff. Obviously, it's important. We'll get to it over the summer, but not tonight. So we'll do it kind of a quick hitter here. And of course, you can find everything Razzball on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. For those of you on the podcast, you can find us here live and see what we look like, but also watch the screen that we're sharing here for our mock draft, see how we roll through it. You can catch everything on the audio side as well on the go. That's the Razzball Fantasy Football podcast. Find everything on X at Razzball NFL. And of course, you can also find all of our articles for free on football.razzball.com. We're using the Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard and the Draft Simulator here tonight for a mock draft. No affiliation formally with Fantasy Pros, but our good friends over there have a great tool that you're able to use as well. So we have a mock draft set up here. Won't go through all the settings, but basically it's a Dynasty startup with all the players. We randomized and we're in the 3-hole. Jeff, I'm going to let you take it away, man. We're in a super flex league. We got 2 players off the board so far. That's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen in a Dynasty Superflex. We got everybody else in the entire NFL to our disposal for fantasy. Who are you feeling right now to kick off our team? Are you going quarterback because of Superflex, or do you want any other running back, wide receiver because everyone's on the table?
Yeah, so right here, first round, I think you have to go with quarterback. Just set up that stability for your team. This is interesting in the 3-hole. All 3 of these guys you can't go wrong with, but in a Dynasty, I feel like CJ Stroud is the youngest, and we probably have yet to see the best of him. So I'm more inclined to go CJ Stroud with this pick.
Ooh, I love that. I love CJ Stroud. And again, all those weapons, get Stephon Diggs, should have a better running game with Joe Mixon. I love that pick. So we kick it off with CJ Stroud. The beauty about the draft wizard is boom, we're on our next pick already, right? We see those going through here. So a ton of running backs going off the board, a ton of wide receivers, and of course, you have all those quarterbacks in the Superflex League too. So now we're picking number 2 slot. Let's just get it going here. We got plenty to choose from again. Right off the board, our best available per the wizard, Jahmyr Gibbs, A.J. Brown, Christian McCaffrey, Puka Nacua, among others. You going young wide receiver that maybe we have for 10 years, or do you want to get one of those stud running backs?
I think Jahmyr Gibbs. I know it's most backfields are now 2 running backs by committee, and I think he's the better of the 2, and he's only in his 2nd year, and kind of like CJ Stroud, we haven't seen the best of him, I don't think, yet. So I'm more inclined. I know the CMC is still there. That's it's a tough one. But how much longer does CMC have on the tires? It's a question. So I'm inclined to go Jahmyr Gibbs here.
I love it, man. He's my next Alvin Kamara. So, he's in my top 5. I couldn't be more excited about him. When Bob and I dropped our running back episodes 2 weeks ago, Jahmyr Gibbs was constantly being talked about. So I love that. For anybody just joining us here, feel free to jump in the comments. Let us know how you like our picks, you don't like our picks. So far, we've kicked it off. We got a a running back and a quarterback here. We got CJ Stroud and Jahmyr Gibbs. We're putting together a startup mock draft this evening, our first mock draft Monday of the season. We're going to take you through the rest of the summer with these as well. So jump in the comments. Let us know how we're doing here. Okay, pick number 3, third round, Malik Neighbors. Loved this kid, of course, but he's on the Giants. Do we like that? Do we not? Jonathan Taylor, Tyreek Hill, Travis Etienne, among others. We got a running back. We have a quarterback. What are we feeling?
Yeah, so this just always want to check the quarterbacks here because you never know. You don't want to miss out. At this point, the best is Dak, but I mean, I feel like there's better value at this point with the 3rd pick than taking Dak. I feel like I think Travis Etienne here.
Okay, Travis Etienne over Jonathan Taylor. Is that just a concern about the offense, or we don't want to go Tyreek Hill? I know that he's even talked about retirement so far. Malik Neighbors is the favorite on this group here, but are you concerned about the Giants?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the quarterback situation. I know we still have Daniel Jones, but I don't think he's ever really produced a top wide receiver in his time in New York so far. So even with Darren Waller last year, I mean, Waller was hurt, but still, they were run centric. So I'm curious to see what the offense looks like. There's a lot of unknowns in that offense. So in a dynasty format, I kind of want to stay away from a lot of unknowns early on for the betterment of the team. I'm going to switch my pick here and go Jonathan Taylor. You love Richardson. I know they're in my Jags division, but that's a good offense there, and I think I want a part of that. And he got signed, so he's there for the foreseeable future too.
When healthy, absolutely dominant. Of course, far and away the number 1 running back just a couple years ago before the injury. We are looking good at running back. Jahmyr Gibbs and CJ Stroud. I love the first 3 picks of this, but people at home are probably thinking, guys, you're in a super flex. What the hell are you doing? We need another quarterback potentially, or we got a plethora of wide receivers left as well. Do me a favor. Go. If you see all the positions there, just click on the quarterback for me. That'll just narrow it down to the QBs, what the system looks like. We got Goff, Bryce Young, Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins. Maybe we don't love them, but that just gives us an idea of who's left. So if we don't love these guys, maybe we just wait for a couple of rookies. You can go ahead and toggle through the wide receivers, the running backs, maybe even look at tight ends. Maybe your boy Samuel Laporte is still available. Yeah, anything like that. We want to take a look. You got Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid. Again, folks, this is a dynasty startup here. So we're kind of, thinking outside the box a little bit because we might be thinking long-term, but you can go back to all if you'd like, but I want to make sure everyone knows that we can toggle through all those positions.
Yeah, no, this is why I love mocks. So just because we took 2 running backs, later on we may say, you know what, maybe 2 running backs wasn't the right call there. That's why it's a mock. So it's just fun to try to see what team setup looks like. So that's why our boys will enjoy doing mocks even this early before the season starts in preseason. So the receivers, I feel like they're all kind of lumped together. I do like DJ Moore the most, though, out of this bunch. But with the tight ends, though, it's a little tricky there. It's between Kincaid or McBride.
Do you think they would come back to us in another league? So again, we're at the 3rd pick overall, but we're at the back of the 4th round. So we only have about 6 picks until our next round.
Yeah.
So that's when you start kind of like playing the field a little bit. Like if we don't go tight end, would one of those guys fall where we could still get a premier wide receiver and also get a tight end versus jump for the tight end, lose out on 3, 4, 5, 6, wide receivers.
No, I know. I like that. I like looking at the board. No one has a tight end, so it's a 50-50 chance here. I do like DJ Moore the most right here, actually.
Rocket. DJ Moore here. Of course, we like Rome Odunze as well. I'm a Keenan Allen guy forever. I don't love Caleb Williams, but that's another conversation. I do think the Bears are going to be a solid offense, though, so I'd like to get a piece of that. And right now, it sounds like Keenan Allen's the cheapest in Dynasty because of his age, but DJ Moore is a significant discount as well, with people reaching for Rome Odunze potentially as well. I'm letting you kind of control this mock draft, bro, but there's one pick that jumps right off the board here for me. And it's based on the rest of our roster. So I don't need a huge stack per se, but I love me a wide receiver quarterback combo in Dynasty. And for me, Nico Collins jumps off the board.
Yeah, it was between him and Trey McBride just because best available for tight end, though. But with that stack, yeah, I think Nico and CJ, we have yet to see their best. And so that's what makes me excited about taking Nico with this pick right here.
We had about 6 games last year of their best, and it was week winning each time. So I love that. And look at that. Come back up in the next round. Tank Dell now becomes the most available as well. So we could go, Nico Collins, Tank Dell. We probably don't want all 3 necessarily. And we did go Nico, so let's mix it up. But it just shows you that within, what are we in the 5th, 6th round here? You're going to start to see all those Texans go off. And in Dynasty, maybe next round, you start seeing Stephon Diggs as well. So personally for me, I love Tank Dell, but with the injuries, I like Nico Collins a little bit more. So our team's looking great, man. Can you do us a favor while we pause here? Go to our roster right above the list of players on the left there. Just give everyone a quick rundown of what our team looks like so far.
We took C.J. Stroud with our first pick for obvious reasons, then followed up with Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, and then went back-to-back receivers with DJ Moore and Nico Collins. I hate to be the bye guy. It kind of stinks seeing 3 players with the bye in Week 14, but it's later in the season, so hopefully it doesn't affect us too much. But I don't typically draft worrying about the bye, but it's just good to know.
I am with you on paying attention to it. That's much more of a concern for me in redraft.
Yeah.
Because in Dynasty next year, same roster, totally different buys. It's just like, it is what it is. And look, when you like 2 of those guys are on the same team. So obviously they're going to have one, right? That's just kind of nature of the beast. So I like it. Okay. We still have not gotten a tight end there. We got an OG on the board. One of my favorite tight ends in the NFL, especially when healthy. We got Mark Andrews available still, but we got a couple running backs, wide receivers. We still don't have a second quarterback. So are we looking at one of these like 15 to 20 PPR guys a week? Or do we want to maybe just start, packing up at the back and look to get a premier tight end like Mark Andrews, or look for another running back wide receiver? And Travis Kelce's out there, George Kittle, right? So like if we're looking for a one hitter for this year, any of those guys are great. And then we just get maybe a rookie later on, but we did miss out on, let's say, the golden 3 rookie, like early end tight ends in Kincaid, McBride, and Laporta.
Yeah, no, this is an interesting dilemma here. I feel like these quarterbacks are still going to be there for us. I feel like Mark Andrews is the right pick here. He's not terribly old at 28. I feel like he's been in the league forever, though. And he's still, when healthy, he's still the number 1 target for Lamar Jackson. So I'm going to go Andrews here.
Let's do it. Mandrews. This is my dog, yo. When he's healthy, he's absolutely dominant. Unfortunately, he had that really odd. I had him in like 4 of my 5 leagues last year, and he had that really weird kind of tweak heading into the end zone, essentially. And they were kind of put him on the pup, and then he wasn't sure. And then they basically just canned him for the season until very late. So we'll see what happens there. This is not a tight end premium league. If it was, or maybe anyway, having Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews as your flex position might seem funky, but we're talking, the 7th, 8th, 9th round right now. What are our other options? And right, Travis Kelce's probably not dynasty material in the next couple of years, but he is this year and maybe next year. And Mark Andrews is still pretty young. So I don't know, man. It'd be kind of against the grain, if you will, but not insane right now for us to pick Travis Kelce. But if you want to look at other positions, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
We need points this year. And one thing I try to keep myself from doing is thinking dynasty and always being like, how's this guy going to be in 3 years? Right? If you're always like, how's this guy next year? How's this guy in 2 or 3 years? You're never actually like looking to win your league right now. Like ultimately we're trying to win our league every year and have depth. So Kelce and Andrews, along with the rest of this team that we have with the youth, I think balances absolutely fantastically.
Yeah, I like it. Let's have some fun.
Cool. And, because again, each of these guys could go off for 20 PPR points a week, which is as much as our running backs or wide receivers are going to give us. And we can still get a lot of depth in the, age range. So I like that a lot. We just have a couple more picks here. We're blazing through this mock, folks. Again, we appreciate everyone joining us here for the first mock draft Monday of the season. Jeff and I will be with you every single Monday to break down our mock drafts. We're going to be doing all different types tonight. It's a startup dynasty. We don't have much of a bench for sake of the episode and holding time. We will have some longer ones. Also, we would love for you all to get involved. If you're somebody that would be interested in joining Jeff and I live in a mock for one of these this summer, go ahead and drop a comment and just say you're interested in one of these mock drafts. I'll put your name on a list. As we get going here, we'll reach out to you and make sure that we're available. So probably won't happen till the end of this month and then the end of August as well. Give us a couple weeks to gather up 12 people. But if you're interested in being live with us drafting like this through the airwaves, I'd much appreciate your participation. So let us know if you're interested in that. Yeah. Okay, can we go back to the roster again real quick here before we wrap up the last couple of picks?
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
Okay, so again, for the sake of this episode, and scroll down just a little bit on the roster. I think we have some bench. Yeah, just one. So we have a wide receiver spot, a super flex spot. So again, possibly a quarterback, and a bench spot. Now it's a really small roster. We get it, folks. Doing it on purpose. We'll make them longer later. Now, because of this, do we want to like force a quarterback pick here because we want to make sure that we get one of our guys? Or do we want to just kind of like go best player available and maybe stack up a couple later quarterbacks if we did have a bench?
Yeah, so I'm at this point in the draft, I'm looking at best available because I think we're going to start seeing a lot of the later tier rookie quarterbacks. Will Levis is really intriguing, which he could fall back to us, especially in a dynasty. He's someone that's really interests me, especially with all the receivers they're putting around him on the offensive side. This is probably the best offense Tennessee has seen in such a long time. I can't even recall them having a passing offense. So let's go look at best available. And we got Amari, Keon Coleman in Buffalo, Deontay Johnson. We need another receiver position. You know, I'm inclined to just take Amari Cooper. He had some really good game with Watson as long as he's healthy.
As long as Watson could stay on the field for us. I mean, we're not going to talk about his off-field stuff, but also he'd accumulated a couple injuries as well. And we saw Amari Cooper take a big dive with that, unfortunately. We don't know what Keon Coleman is going to do. I know we talked about him last episode. Deontay and Chris Godwin are just tried and true. They're great wide receiver threes, second flex kind of guys, but we're definitely looking for upside. I like Amari Cooper, and I'm okay with him. Go ahead and pick him for this particular team because we have DJ Moore and Nico Collins who are PPR guys. We know Amari Cooper is going to give us 202 3 times this year. The problem is he might get us 4 catches and none the other 12 games. You know, he's really boom or bust, unfortunately. Hopefully we can get a little bit more consistency. We've got 2 picks left. We got a super flex position and a bench. So we could pick 2 quarterbacks if you want, just to kind of round out this team. Again, folks, we're not picking a deep bench intentionally. So there's a lot of these deeper name players in Dynasty that we're talking about that we're not going to draft tonight, but we will get into them the rest of this summer.
You know, I didn't want to do this, but I think I want Captain Kirk with this team.
Solid.
He's an older guy, but he's on a 4-year deal, so he's got at least, I believe 2 years of 2 good years, and then we can find another quarterback, you know, next draft in a dynasty league. So you're not tied to him. Look at that.
Solid. Fantasy Pros gives us a grade. Jeff, why don't you go ahead and run down one more time, just in order, our lineup here for the podcasters who are not able to watch on the screen.
Yep. So this is a 12-man Superflex Dynasty draft, mock draft, PPR. That's our first pick. We took CJ Stroud with the 3rd pick. We were the 3rd overall pick. Second round, we went to Jahmyr Gibbs. Our 3rd pick, we followed up with another running back, Jonathan Taylor, to secure the running backs. Then we followed up with 2 receivers and DJ Moore, Nico Collins with a stack with CJ Stroud. And then we went back-to-back tight ends. An unusual strategy, but I think it worked out in our favor with Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. And then with our last 2, we just got some savvy veteran leadership on this team with Amari Cooper and Kirk Cousins.
I love it. And again, in Dynasty, I am totally down with the win now, get all the OGs, get CMC and Travis Kelce and, you know, Keenan Allen and whatever. Just go all in and rebuild. Fine. Risky, but I like it. There's the other way where you just go super young right off the bat and you kind of forfeit a season or 2. I always try to be 50-50 and maybe even 60-40 to some like established OGs, right? CJ Stroud's very young and a long-time Dynasty asset, but not, you know, too young. Jahmyr Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor are in their prime right now. DJ Moore, Nico Collins, and Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's obviously longer. DJ Moore's been around for a while, but those guys are all hitting their stride as well. Travis Kelce's going to be Travis Kelce as long as he plays. And Mark Andrews is younger, but obviously has shown that number one capability as well. And Kirk Cousins, if healthy, comes back with a much, a great opportunity in Atlanta this year. So this team's great. We got a 92 out of 100. And just the way the algorithm works, I know that we didn't get higher because it wants us to pick 2 quarterbacks earlier based on Superflex. But honestly, Jeff, I love this team. And we're going to be looking forward to many more opportunities coming up the rest of the summer. Is there one player that you love on this team, or one that you would have maybe wanted to swap out now that we're looking at it?
Yeah, maybe the Jonathan Taylor pick, just on the quarterback play. Like, I don't hate Kirk Cousins like you in a dynasty, 50-50, 60-40 with established players and some youth talent, because those youth aren't always going to pan out. So you can't put all your eggs in one basket with the youthful movement. So I do like the overall team. Jonathan Taylor, I'm just curious what may have been. Have we taken another quarterback there? Do we get 2 tight ends? So it's always interesting to see if you to change it. One quick thing I do want to shout out: if anyone else does mock drafts, you can go back in after your grade and you can redo a pick and kind of see what would happen after that. So maybe for our next one, we could do that at the end.
Great idea. I love that. Substitute some picks. You can also pick a wide receiver, see how your thing works out. Actually, what if I did running back right here? I think that's perfect. Awesome. Well, that'll wrap up this episode here. A quick mock draft Monday. Appreciate everybody participating with us this evening. July 1st, we got plenty for you. Every single Monday, we'll do mock drafts. Jeff, always appreciate you, my man. And you can find everything on X at Razzball NFL. Subscribe, of course, to the Razzball Fantasy Football YouTube show. You can hit that bell below. And you can, of course, download the podcast as well and hit the audio on the Razzball Fantasy Football podcast and all of our articles for free at football.razzball.com. For Jeff at Jefferson__21, I'm your host, Sky Guasco at Sky Guasco on Twitter. We appreciate everybody hanging out with us tonight. Hope you are having the most luck with your mock drafts, everybody. We'll catch you next time on the Razzball Fantasy Football Show. And make sure to stay tuned the rest of this week and all summer long as the rest of the guys have their own episodes for you as well. We'll catch you again and hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. We are out of here.